Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name's Hysterix. I'm joined by Mr. Clement Chu, the man, the myth, the legend, who once upon a time was in Europe casting a team. I forgot that team. Well, I'll ask you in a second, Clement, because it wasn't CDBC Bank who are sponsoring the PCS for 2022. And before the match starts, just remember we're thanking Riot Games, Carry Live, and Garena for the PCS League operation and full production. Now, Clement, first of all, what was that team?
Was casting. I was coaching ninjas in pajamas, but that was way back then.
Hey, there we go. Who are now, still, by the way, not in the LPL yet, but still technically, have ownership of V5. So who knows how the world swings around. But we're going to get into this third series, which is important because this is also the debut of MetaFalcon team in Beyond Gaming. We'll be saying that for every match today. But Clement, starting with MetaFalcon team, this was a team I think we were relatively impressed with last split, considering that they were a team that, were built on synergy and were built on the fact that they all play together. And despite being rookies, they still were on the same page, I guess.
This is the team that is trying to test out the limits of friendship magic, basically. They decided to stick together. They had a very cohesive play style, but towards the end of the playoffs, everyone kind of knew what they were going to do. Their main carry was their jungler, and they like to move around with Whale and 665 to the side lanes and create lots of havoc. However,
Really
vary considerably by their champion pool issues. They try to play against Zeri, which is still not viable, and they also failed to produce a control mage in the mid lane. So I think for this matchup for both teams, it's kind of the same issue, is that we have to see how they cope with their champion pools being essentially obliterated, especially on Beyond Gaming as well. Minji's best three champions, Akali, Zoe, and Orianna, they're gone. I feel like that leaves Beyond Gaming to a Silas or Bust team.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. I mean, for Minji, like a complete direction change. And while we're on Beyond Gaming, it is also Lakai starting out today, so no Liang. But we've got two teams who haven't really made too many changes. The only changes to come through are the fact that we have ourselves Issue in the bottom lane instead of Epoch. Now, Clement, that's a very minor change, considering that we know that the rest of them are still there, and that's what the highlight was. So it feels like we are going to get some consistent methods from last split. It's just, again, about 12-11 and how these teams adapt.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing for these teams is, yes, they can keep the same play styles. For the side of MFT, you definitely still expect them to have roaming mids, to kind of have a fast upbeat and sort of chase you down tempo, try to move 665 into the side lanes. Their jungler, once again, dealt more damage than their AD carry in their top lane throughout most of the split. So that's kind of their character. But they do need to expand their champion pools. If they can cope with just having Zeri in their bottom side, I feel like that solves a lot of their ban pick issues. On the other side, for Beyond Gaming, they were a 1-3-1 team. They did play pretty slow, and I feel like the alleviated pressure in the laning phase will definitely help out their style. But the biggest problem is still the same. They just don't have an adequate champion pool on Minji. That was the case in spring, and I expect it to be a whole lot worse in summer.
Yeah, so with mid out of the way as well, I mean, what we get in the top side, like, I feel like we got some very extravagant champions there, and I wonder if that gets reeled in a bit with the way the pool is at the moment. I think as well, Clement, we talk about this team being a 1-3-1 team, like Senna Tam at the moment seems to be a must ban against Beyond Gaming if we're talking about keeping a strong 3 dynamic. Is the lineup, like I said, it's going to be Lakai starting in the top side today instead of Liang, Husha in the jungle, Minji mid, Wako and Kino down in the bottom lane. Again, roster relatively the same, apart from Lakai, who Clement, he played less games last split, I'm correct?
Yep, Lakai had a very rough split, if I be completely honest. Of course, he is kind of the not much younger, but the younger of the two top laners that they have. And Beyond Gaming, with picking up Lakai from Machi, where he had a very good split, it was expected that they were going to groom him up and become the next top lane star, the next split pusher. He does play a lot of Camille. However, that last split was kind of weird for him. He just didn't do very well in lane, and hopefully after the break, he's able to improve, get back to his pre-Machi form, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
And for the rest of the side, I would say the best player that fits the meta here is definitely going to be Wako. Wako has been a hyper carry for life with a knack
Yeah.
for Kalista. So I think the stars have basically aligned for this player, and I just hope that Megabank Beyond Gaming, they can refocus their efforts around drafting compositions for Wako and just for him to take them to the finish line.
So maybe it doesn't have to be a center, Tom. It's an interesting point. We talk about the bottom lane as we get into draft. As on the other side, Meta Falcon team, it's Taco in the top lane, 665, 1 Whale, and Issue. Issue starting out today. This is his debut in competitive play as well. As, Clement, this is going to be interesting considering that for the bottom lane, running the rookie member, when we know that this was the team that you said there are some champion pool issues, or could be potentially as we go through.
It's just such a fun team to watch. They have a very coherent identity, is that they just want to run at you and wombo combo you. So they had a lot of things like Set. They had compositions like Renekton, and a lot of bruisers in mid lane just to make sure that Win is able to leave lane. There's a bit of Doinby mentality going on there. And 665 was a main carry. And what the team lacked in champion pools for the rest of the positions, Taco made up for it. Taco played a ton of champions. I will not say all of those experiments were successful by any means, but he did play a lot of champions, so he's always kind of the wild card in the back.
I remember watching him in 665 was a lot of fun. Clement, fun stat for you. Last spring, I looked up how much Lakai actually played in the regular season. Only 2 individual games, and they were both against Meta Falcon team. So once again, Beyond Gaming have something sinister in mind. They're like, let's run Lakai against Meta Falcon team for the 3rd time in a row this year. And as we enter the Rift, we can talk a little bit more about the bottom lane now that we're here. You said Wako and Kino, the aggressive bottom lane could come through. Well, the ban the Kalista themselves, Zeri taken away on the red side, but things like Senna still available. We know Lucian and Nami, if they want to pick it up, is there too. Clement, what else are you looking at?
I actually like this from Beyond Gaming. I feel like Wako should be the hyper carry of the team. So if you take away that super aggressive Kalista, that does open up the table, mostly for things like the Ezreal to just come back in and have a good time in the meta. On the other side for MFT, super interesting is that they're actually banning Zoe and Akali still. So giving Minji tons of respect, even on 12.11.
I wonder if this hurts him. Does his champion pool come into question in this game with some of those pockets taken out even in this meta? Well, on the other side, Meta Falcon team not asking questions about meta because it is the safe Ezreal bottom lane going up against the Lucian here, Clement. And it means that, Whale and Issue are going to be on something that's a bit of a mid-game drop.
Yeah, they have to think about how to deal with that Lucian Nami lane. That's been absolutely terrorizing all the global top leagues here, and against the Ezreal, it's very difficult to survive that one. Once again, MFT are not overly concerned about their bot lane. I would say their bot lane, Whale has been pretty good in terms of the team fights, but in laning phase, they've never really relied on them to get a lead right there. So the Ezreal is on par for them. But they still need to have something, I think, very strong in the mid lane. This is the most critical spot for sure. You've taken away all the tempo champions from Minji, and I feel like you have to get something like an Ahri or something here. But they're going to hold it on for later.
It's so crazy that the pick priority is completely different. Senna goes through with Tarm still available. They also got Wukong on the side of Beyond Gaming.
Yeah.
Like, MFT were happy trading away Viego, and as strong as he is, Wukong, one of the most banned across the world. Clement, you're saying before, LPL has a 75% win rate with him at the moment after 40 plus games, but across the world, it is just such a high priority. And for Beyond Gaming, a strong bottom lane with a great little skirmisher here from Husha, seems that we are going to be putting a bit more focus on bot and a bit more focus on the early game.
I just absolutely love this Wukong pick coming in from Beyond Gaming. His passive is great against physical damage dealers, and when typically doesn't do a lot of damage. He's always sub 20% for the team most of the time. So I just see this Wukong being unkillable in team fights throughout the majority of the game. And then you already have like a very strong pairing that can just blow up the bottom lane. What MFT have is, it's a very good, I would say, bot lane if you want to gank someone with it. Like, you just throw the ult down with Leona against the Nami. Not a lot that Nami can do. You pop in with the Viego. That's almost an insta-kill level 6. So that's where I think they're going to try and stabilize the bottom side.
Clement, I'm not sure if we ended that one a little bit earlier
Mhm.
because I believe, yeah, there is a pick ban issue. I was like, man, that doesn't look like a way to round out the draft. So, folks, apologize for that. We are going to be returning to pick ban once that's fixed up. At the very least, we're going to assume that everything went ahead. Because, yeah, Clement, it does feel like, for 3 strong picks coming through, now there's a lot open up in that top side. But I should pull out that for Meta Falcon team, when you already have a bit of engage, as you said, needs to be a bit of AP damage, needs to be something that goes through Wukong, needs to be something that mid can actually deal with, that one can carry on and get out of the nature of the low damage mid laner that he was in the past.
Yeah, what I think we're going to see from the side of MFT is likely Ahri. I think Ahri's probably the best pick right here. It has tons of chase down potential. You can initiate with the flash E, and that just allows you to get kills and resets over and over. So I think that's the direction that the draft is most likely going to develop into. On the other side, I also feel like Beyond Gaming is perfectly happy to fight tempo with tempo here. Let's be completely honest, in terms of just raw laning power and just like the talent level of the players, Beyond Gaming does have a bit of an advantage right here, and they also have the picks to do so. So I expect this to be one of those faster games. We are going to see another one of the games that goes against the meta grain and just gives us an explosive early to mid game.
And with MFT, I'd expect that, but, Beyond Gaming, we talked about them being this 1-3-1 team, Clement, not the fastest themselves. It does feel like we're coming into a game set up where Beyond Gaming have a good read on the meta. And I think the most interesting thing for me, as I said at the start of the draft, is like, dude, Senatarm is open. That is just wild. Senatarm left open, Wukong left open. There was priority bans against the Akali, against the Zoe, right? Like Minji, excuse me. His champion pool, which we're calling into question. But we also know that picks like the Ahri still available, right? Minji as well, you assume he plays the other side where he goes Lissandra. Things like Rise, were played in the spring split of PCS too. Maybe not so much anymore. The Orianna still comes through. The Galio banned away. Like, there's so many levels of this where it does feel like for Beyond Gaming, having a good read is amazing, but Minji surely is prepared for summer, where we're not going to run into the same issues of champion pool, despite a very niche couple of bans.
I've got only a couple words for you. Meta Falcon drafting. That's
okay.
They don't typically draft for the meta, and I think from my perspective, it probably does have a lot to do with champion pools. If I'm being completely honest, I feel like that's the case in spring, and I think it might continue to hobble them in summer. So we'll see if they come out with some of those power picks right here. I'm not sure what to make of Ezreal Leona as a lane. I think it fits MFT's idea of just sticking something that's safe in the bottom lane, but at the same time you're just leaving so much power on the table.
Yeah, you really are. I mean, at least the Gwen gets taken away, which would be a big pick for Lakai if let through. But going through the rest, Clement, we're seeing Mordekaiser bans. Now, what does this tell you? Because I've seen Mordekaiser into a couple of things in the LPL. Kale was one of them, I believe. Sejuani the other. Maybe if Lakai goes for weak side.
I haven't seen Mordekaiser be particularly successful. To be completely honest, I feel like it's so much harder for him to actually get a kill within his ultimate. Like, despite like battle mages across the board getting better, Mordekaiser is one of the rare ones where he's actually suffered a little bit after the changes. So maybe they have something very specific in mind. The Kale definitely could be potentially one of them. I don't think Beyond Gaming even need the kill, if I'm being completely honest. I just feel like they would be happy to slam a Camille down here, just get engaged and play through bot lane.
Oh yeah, Camille's a nice pick up there. Nara an option as well, as we've seen earlier on, Clement, if that fancies you. At the moment, we still don't have AP damage for Beyond Gaming either, though, so kind of curious to where we get the Minji pivot. But for now, Ahri was talked about a little bit before. When going to snatch that one up, and it's not available, guys. Don't ask. Not available. Teams have been hovering this one. Let's get something a little bit more serious, I say, in the next 15 seconds.
I think Waco's just trying to mind game Taco. That was definitely one of the champions that he played. wasn't very successful there.
There you
Beyond
go.
Gaming gonna go back into a very typical answer to the Ari. Lissandra can take away a lot of the mobility advantages that Ari enjoys here. And like I said, I just feel like Beyond Gaming, they just want to pack more engage and have some more zoning tools. So that's what they're going to go for. In the meantime, I'm not a huge fan of this Kale. I don't think it fits the tempo of this team. MFT are trying to play mid-game, but Kale isn't really mid-game.
True. I mean, safer laning phase, but you're right. We're looking for that late game condition. The clock will start, but hey, for MFT, Clement, round it up a little more for me, because if it's all about mid-game here, then what? Skirmishes, neutrals, like how does this operate?
So MFT, I think if you don't look at the Kale, the composition actually looks really beautiful. It has great catch. You can pull in damage from across halfway the map with Ezreal, so that really helps you with getting these picks. And then once you get those picks, you have multiple resets coming from the Ari and the Viego. You know, Ari is just great when you get that initial kill. You can chase people down with the extra uses of a Spirit Rush. So the composition itself works really nicely. The Leona, the Viego, the Ari, the Ezreal, all of that fits together. I don't really like the Kale pick, because I think a Kale is essentially forcing you into having a late game plan. If Kale doesn't develop, she can go sideways really, really terribly. So I think the Kale is a bit of a sore thumb on that composition. On the other side, if you look at Beyond Gaming, this is I think this is actually a really good answer to what MFT have. They have great team fight area control. They have multiple like big CCs around Drakes, and they should just outright win the bottom side. So if I'm looking across the board, it's MFT, they have a really strong identity, but Beyond Gaming have great answers to what they want to do, and I actually expect them to come out in the 4v4.
Clement, in small spaces, man, I'd be scared facing down Beyond Gaming. As you said, good response to Meta Falcon team. If it's the Viego, the Ari that jumps in, they get punished quick and fast and without a response otherwise. But if Meta Falcon team can get those resets, Clement, I see Ari, I see Viego in a different light, and I see the opportunity for that mid-game to come alive. But let's see, because for Meta Falcon team, they've got to piece this one together. Clement Chu isn't happy. And when Clement Chu's not happy, teams sometimes lose. When teams lose, they don't gain pride, especially when you're going up against Beyond Gaming, a team that was in the upper echelon last split. Well, Meta Falcon team have a lot to prove, especially with teams like Impunity getting better, holding on to a playoff spot, and I'm talking about this on day one, so it's going to sound a bit irrelevant, but holding onto a firm top 8 placing and starting off with a bang is exactly what you want here. Let's get back into the riff for game number 3 of the night. Clement, a pleasure to be with you once again when, you know, we've had a variety of comps tonight, and we've kind of had an experience of the plethora that is 12-11.
Definitely true, and I think there's still a lot of variation in how you can play these compositions. Tempo is definitely a relative concept, so we still see teams pushing for early game win conditions. I think the first game of the day was very obvious coming in from CFO that they still wanted to play something very close to a win lane, win game style of play. Even though the game time has been dragged on quite significantly. It's about 2 minutes longer than it was in spring. At least you still have these variations of people playing 1-4 compositions, people playing more for mid-game, and not just everything being Corki Azir.
Yeah, which is nice. I mean, if we were in that, I'd probably shoot myself, Clement, because that was a rough time to go through. Good trading in the mid lane here, but Minji's taking Electrocute. And as we look closer at this game, one with the unsealed spellbook. I've seen this a couple of times, Clement, but we know that Minji, for now, going to be feeling pretty confident as the game has to pause. One took the wrong runes. No. Oh, we don't know. We'll find out.
We'll find see what happens here. But, just talking about, I think, beyond MFT a little bit more, their most critical member to target is going to be that Nami. This entire draft just relies upon picking on old man Kino. Everyone know Kino, he's had his kids, he's married, and he's completed his university education, which is actually quite rare in professional gaming. So everyone knows he's kind of like the old man on the team. And they're just going to try and test his reactions. If they can kill anyone, it's going to be the Nami. The Nami is definitely the easiest target to go for. Just make her into sashimi and you kind of snowball off of that. That's the entire MFT game plan.
I mean, I'm kind of offended right now, Clement. He's 24. Now, you are in your 30s, and I'm almost 28. So, wait, how old am I? I'm 27, actually. I'm 27. I'm not almost 28. So, take an offense here, because he's born in 1998. His birthday's April 12th, by the way. Kino and I have the same birthday.
Really?
So, shout out to Kino. Yeah. I actually just went to look it up because I'm like, Clement's calling him an old man. How old is Kino, really?
I've been with Beyond Gaming to Worlds, and Beyond Gaming call him an old man, okay? Like, aging works differently in esports. I'll just put that out there.
That's rough. Like, I feel like as soon as you turn 25, people think, you can't play competitively anymore. You have to be someone special, right? Like BRTT is an example. I'm trying to think of an LPL player that's still, like, aging well and still in competitive play. Like, people like Rookie and Knight, as we get back in the game, they're still only, like, Rookie's 25. By the way. So you kind of look at what they achieve in their young years. As welcome back to game. We'll keep it a bit relevant for you as, you know, we talk about the old man, quote unquote, Kino. Clement, before we went to that pause, you were starting to say that it is about punishing this Nami. That's what MFT want.
Yep.
For resets, for otherwise looking for one part of this duo and setting themselves up with the mid game.
Yeah, I think that has to be the target here. I don't expect them to win bottom lane. It's very difficult in this matchup. So what you're going to see is probably MFT just hold on to level 6 before they fully commit onto one of these lanes. Beyond Gaming is definitely going to be the aggressor in both the bottom side and the mid lane, in the laning phase. And for them, I don't really see them trying to gank all that much either. It's not very easy to gank with the Nami. The Aqua Prison is almost impossible to land if someone is watching. So I just kind of see kind of a farm up and the laning phase tipping over to Beyond Gaming just because of the lane matchups themselves.
And maybe even a bit more, because as blue buff starts here from Husha, 665 waiting patiently, but Kino's here. A nice ebb and flow, but this is going to turn quickly. Beyond Gaming, they found the stun onto the sport. Clement, you said it. Kino's flashed on and he's dead. Earlier than expected, but a very release condition hit as a nice another ebb and flow. Meta Falcon team taking the fight and taking it handedly. One's going to get the kill. That's 2 for Meta Falcon team, and it's Beyond who went too deep for the invade.
That was my biggest worry with Beyond Gaming, because Kino does not play enchanters. He is an all-in, just tank carry type of guy. So I feel like in skirmish situations, enchanters are actually incredibly weak. They rely on getting multiple rotations off, and this was a play for them that we're seeing right here from the observers. Great observing here. That MFT had full knowledge of. He sees the Wukong, knows what he's planning, he gets the Leona over, and in these short skirmishes, I'm just thinking that, you know, tank supports are just so much so much stronger in these situations. They pack hard crowd control, they have more upfront damage, and they're able to get the reset here onto Nami, and I think this is going to shift the matchup quite significantly here.
Oh, well, maybe it won't. Maybe it won't, because we come back to live and somehow we lose the context as to why Beyond Gaming got one after they were handed a bit of a silver planet.
Yeah, interesting. Didn't get to see the start of that one. Husha does come in with a red buff, so maybe that was very helpful in securing that one. But anyway, they are able to equalize, and I think the most important thing here is definitely that we're not going to see that Ahri with a significant level 6 lead to move elsewhere on the map.
Let's have a look. Glacier Path flashed away from Clement, and 665 comes in.
Wow, that was surprisingly easy.
Yep.
I think they just got
we're
the
seeing
flash.
it again. Lakai with a great flash. Oh, that boomerang as well tags him on the outside. Husha comes in, whack down the auto. Lakai coming in clutch, man. That play was all him.
Yeah, Husha showing up to play here. We didn't really get to see the start of that one, but I believe it was another situation where Husha just was able to track 665 and pull the trigger a little bit faster here. So the solo lane's already going very, very well for Beyond Gaming in this one, and I do think that means Beyond Gaming can almost take a free Herald, because their bot lane is going to be constantly pushed, and I don't see any lane that can actually push out and punish Beyond Gaming if they just want to just straight move towards the objective.
But I just don't understand, Clement, because it was that invade that sets up for, you know, Whale 1 to navigate through their lanes a little bit easier. The resources coming through. Yes, we still know that Beyond Gaming, as you said, have winning lanes, but for Meta Falcon team, their jungler now caught out in a couple of positions. The setup for one, the setup for Taco, both going wrong, and we go back to square one. Now, Meta Falcon team are going to be starting the Dragon here, Clement, but you can see already Hoosh is starting to walk over. Minji trying to do the same thing now that he's level 6. Might be too late.
Ooh, this is MFT still holding on to a lead in their bottom side because of that kill and assist. But here we have Beyond Gaming trying to close the gap.
Well, he's level 5 now. Husha walking in really fast. Kino looking for the slow. Active Prism doesn't connect, but look over the wall. Minji does. That ult coming in handy, and when unable to use his Clement, we get into small chokes, and Beyond Gaming are flourishing.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird because Wen actually didn't try to stop Beyond Gaming whatsoever. Beyond Gaming were just able to walk past the Ahri completely unmolested and close down on the target. So I feel like that was a bit of a communication mistake from MFT. That, like, they had the players in position, but Wen didn't try to interfere at all.
Yeah, kind of just that there. I don't know if his mana was low, Clement. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to see this bounce back. Beyond Gaming now in their lanes once again, 500 through mid, 500 jungle, 300 in the top side. A very significant lead that's built up here, and it's only going to get worse. Clement, we saw Minji with the ultimate, but more importantly, Husha with the Cyclone is coming up ready, available. Meganar will be there for the Herald too. I'm kind of curious as to what you think now with how the game stage changed. What do you expect in front of the Herald that's coming through?
So both solo lanes should have the pushing potential right now, and I think the safest play for Beyond Gaming is actually just move Lucian up towards the top lane. Like at this point, Lucian isn't getting a whole lot off of this bot lane just because of the kind of like the kill factors that's gone over to MFT. So once they have the shove, I just expect them to start moving because honestly, as an Ezreal, you don't really have that much wave clear potential. Same thing goes for the Leona there as well. So it's very easy for Beyond Gaming, I think, to set up with a numbers advantage here.
Moving around with vision, that's kind of been the game so far here for MFT. Got to give them props. Their vision control has been really nice, and what's set up for the first play onto Husha, the catch out on the blue buff. Also the vision control towards his top side, and deep, we really don't expect it, has given them good tracking onto this jungler. For now, as the Herald starts up, there's nothing really they can do. Minji's starting to regain more and more control of this mid lane. Top side continuously pushed up against this Kayle. And as Husha picks up the Rift Herald, Clement, give me a lane. Tell me the progression now that you have a bit of tempo. Meta Falcon team actually starting the tempo on the bottom side. Onto Wako here, the engage begins. Both someone's already burnt. Kino can't heal him up. And the Heartbreaker burnt for the flash as well. One now caught out on rotation as Minji has him, but ulti won't be committed. Husha was nearby, but I guess Minji just didn't want to burn it, considering Cleanse was there.
I just want to say that was hella greedy from Beyond Gaming. Like, I'm very surprised that their bot lane continued to push after their Herald was already taken. We've talked about this in pregame. This bot lane cannot survive. If Viego comes down, like, I don't care how you play this, but one of you is dying. Between the Nami and the Lucian, it's just too hard to survive this one. And sure, MFT do have to burn a lot of flashes, but that, to me, was just greedy for Beyond Gaming. There was no reason they should have stayed that far up. And, you know, props to MFT, they do punish.
Well, the game continues to be back and forth. 7 kills, 9.5 minutes, just about 10. And where do we leave this, Clement? Like, what do you even say about this? Because every single time, it seems to be based on a whim that these picks are picked up. We go into a replay, we miss the next one. It's like a jungle difference at each turn.
This feels like the patch never changed, honestly. This is like your old comfortable tempo, how League of Legends is supposed to be played, and then you look at the other regions and everyone is sitting like sub 5 kills at 15 minutes and things are going super quiet. This is a nice change of pace. Like, we should actually savor these type of games because they don't come around very often in this patch.
That's right. I mean, things are a lot slower than usual, and kind of nice to see this pace of the PCS as Herald gets dropped down in the mid lane now. That gold going across goes to Minji, goes to Husha. Clement, I want to point out that things are only going to keep getting sped up, considering that you even said in draft it was going to be a faster game, but we've also got a Divine Sundra on this jungler here. Husha in control, Minji the same, Lakai shortly behind. We are going to have those mythics quite soon, and Dragon's up in 30 seconds, where it feels like Beyond Gaming might have a bit of an edge.
For sure. I think Beyond Gaming just have so few targets that are actually burstable at the start of the fight. Like Wukong, he can go invisible. Lissandra's never a great target, and Lucian could actually be picked out here. Wako's missing both of his summoners. But for MFT, like, their entire composition just relies on bursting down one target and going into reset mode. So that's the most important thing. They're going on Wukong. Not sure about this one.
Okay, set of play. Cyclone, tidal wave, and maybe not. You're going to give it to them as the Heartbreaker doesn't get him out. Issues next up. Beyond Gaming were engaged upon, but unfortunately, Clement, that was AD damage as well. Going to take the culling, healed away. The last bullet's flying through. He survives, but Husha's there. He'll finish it up surely. As we're now in the mid lane still. The Ignite goes down from him. Resets the Summoner. That'll be Flash. And Husha was unable to get the kill on the bottom lane after all we saw.
That was such a weird fight. MFT with full vision on Beyond Gaming members.
Like the other ones.
Yeah, they decided to pull the trigger on Wukong. And, you know, Wukong is a champion I specifically said that would not be burstable. They still went for it anyway. I'm not really sure about why they were pulling the trigger here. I just don't see any way for that to be successful. Yeah, they have full vision on all members too, so... Okay, I guess they just miscalculated. I don't have much to add.
Well, I guess the all-in was, you know, yeah, you're right. Maybe not calculated in that state. We come back to live. Whale will survive here, but Dragon goes down to Meta Falcon team. So at the very least, when you're talking about their mid-game triumph, MFT still have an opportunity with controlling the Dragon pace in this game. That's one thing we can say, despite everything going wrong, is speaking of going wrong, Lakai versus Taco continues to happen in front of our eyes, and look, he's got friends.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Taco can smell this one out. We see the pings going down, question marks across the board. He's holding on to his ultimate, so I don't expect this to come through necessarily. What Beyond Gaming just want to do is just draw MFT members to the top lane. If they draw them top, I feel like bot lane is still a much easier target to go for across the map right here. So we'll see what they do with that one. Wukong goes back, picks up some more items, and we'll be taking a look at some of the mythic choices coming in here.
Yep.
We do have Ezreal just... I think because things have gone kind of sideways, he does need to pick up immediate power. Not going to go for the Triforce again, going for the build that gives him a little bit more wave clear potential in the Essence Reaver. Meanwhile, in the top lane, this is kind of expected for Kale as well. I feel like in all three games today, we just haven't seen top lane. Like, top lane's just been left alone.
True, but I mean, what games have we seen? Gwen, Nah, like, we've seen push and pull quite a lot, and to be fair, the Jax game from ICU gave us a little bit more, but you're right. You know, top has been a little bit more quiet. Kind of been about mid-moving, Clement. And that's what you and I were discussing in rehearsal. It's like, in the LPL, to be a bit repetitive, like, we're seeing so much Galio, we're seeing, you know, Vex is here or there, but things like Ari that can also move, the Lissandra we're seeing on our screens, Twisted Fate pops up every now and then, the Silas to match something like a Galio. Things about moving to the side lanes and influencing the rest of the map. As again, this game has kind of been more important. Like, imagine if we didn't have Minji with lane control and then moving out in those fights. Feels like Meta Falcon team probably would have gotten away with murder a couple of times.
For sure. I feel like the Ari definitely is very powerful, and the all-in potential from their bot side is great as well. You know, talking about moving mid lanes, even though Talia isn't, I would say, blind pickable, I think she's incredibly strong coming into the patch, and we do see her just being kind of OP tier in both mid and jungle on this patch as well. So that's one of the sleeper OPs that I really think would fit Win and his role on the team. So I'm looking forward for both 665 and Wen to pick that champion up.
Yeah, it does feel like it's something that, especially in the PCS, as you're saying, more than sleeper for OP. But we'll see as the split goes on. You know, it's only day one. People still, you know, developing into 12-11. Soon we'll have 12-12. Velvet will be enabled as well. Like, it's going to be a completely different environment. At some point, Nyla will be here, Clement. And that's just going to be a nightmare in itself. that champion is like, you know, Belveth times 5. So, yeah, we got a lot to look forward to with some of these champion picks. We get a Rift Herald charging while we're talking away. 3k gold there for Beyond Gaming. Yes, they open up mid lane. Minji can start moving now a little bit as well, Clement. And Husha is just putting Wako and Kino here for the time being, while you can see that Minji just heads bot.
I just want to say, look how clean this transition is compared to what they did last time. I really think they should just bring their bot lane into Herald. Ezreal doesn't push fast at all. So you can get away with murder here. It's far less risky because MFT has all eyes on that Nami. They want to get a piece of her, and you just deny that by moving into Herald. They trade better in both ways. They get the extra gold, the extra objective. So, you know, I feel like Beyond Gaming did kind of fumble a couple points in their early game, but so did MFT, so we're back to equal.
Yeah, we are. And coming back to what you said, how do you feel about the state of the game? Because at least this Kayle is getting to the point where, you know, will be relevant. Level 12 is a great sign here for Taco. And I wanted your 2 cents as to how the game progresses when you said that MFT had a very strong mid-game comp that, you know, could play around a lot of these skirmishes.
I just think that MFT, they drafted for 2 things at the same time, but they might get away with it because the kill is a ticking time bomb. You get her to level 16, and you look at Beyond Gaming, they don't have range. Nobody can actually reliably crowd control Kayle from range and not get hit down. So there definitely is still a bit of a win condition. I wouldn't let the alarm bells ring just yet. But I think it's very plausible that MFT could drag the game out to a point where Taco can come in and save them. If you look at the Drake stack, they're under no pressure whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
They can let this go on.
I mean, there's no issue. Is Cullen going to come through mid? Issue takes most of it, but that's just adding a bit of pressure while Husha does the dragon by himself. So this will be the first one for Beyond, but as Clement just said, 2 dragons for Meta Falcon team in a position where the game can go a little bit longer too. We're only at 18 minutes in the game, and Clement, I've noticed today, these teams, like, we're not getting the 5-minute dragon. We're not getting the immediate dragon start. I think Meta Falcon team have been one of the earliest to start the dragon by all means, but it's not like we're getting that bot pressure transmitted immediately into a 5-6-minute dragon.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with just the support choices that we've seen. This has really been a patch about enchanters. Like, once enchanters can't be bursted down by tank supports, then they're actually very dominant in lane. However, they also like to stay in lane. They don't really move out into the river and do a lot of skirmishes. So I feel like there's so many facets that the durability changes have moved in the game. Generally speaking, everything does feel a little bit slower. If you're just coming back into the new season, not the new season, but the new patches, it feels like wading through water.
I mean, you're not wrong with, like, the feeling of a new season, right? This patch is, for me, looking at it when LPL started, Clement, I was like, hang on a minute. You know, 12-10 was huge. 12-11 as well was a bit of a pile-on. And trying to go through all that preparing for cast was just massive. It did feel like when items got changed. Remember, items got changed and we were like, oh my god, it's going to take, you know, weeks to learn. Durability wasn't that bad, but it was still a lot to take in considering that the game state changed massively off of it.
Yeah, and there's a couple points that can help people understand what got stronger and what got weaker just right off the bat. So whatever does percent HP damage got stronger because relative to flat damage, you kill at the same time. Another thing that changes, if you're a tank that relies on resistances instead of regeneration, then you also got stronger because regeneration got nerfed while resistances were not touched. So the champions that benefited from that the most, Sejuani and Wukong, and there are a lot of fringe champions that fit that bill as well. Olaf is one because he doesn't lose resistances anymore. He can run at people. And also, I think one that I'm keeping my eyes on because it's one of my favorite picks from previous seasons is actually Shyvana top. Shyvana does a ton of damage, kills in the same speed because that Flame Breath is percent HP, and she also gets extra resistances off her passive, so she fits the bill really nicely.
Got played in LPL the other day. OMG Shan pulled it out, but enough of that. Look top. Meta Falcon team are walking into certain danger. one by one as Issue is the second to go down. A double already. Wako unleashes hell and gets the collector proc. That's a triple kill. Running in for more as Taco finally pops that ulti. And all of a sudden the game speeds up as when running back in. Acro Prison easy. Wako wants the quadra here. All he has to do is run forward, but Relentless Suit is already down. Beyond Gaming punishing 665, and with it the dominoes fall. Clement, one mistake and Beyond moves straight to the Baron and what feels like the game in the palm of their hand.
Yeah, that was such a weird sequence. So once again, MFT does have knowledge that the members are converging from Beyond Gaming. Beyond Gaming has somehow managed to pull the trigger faster. You know, they walk through wards, they stand right in front of a tower, and MFT do not react. You know, the Kale ultimate comes down a little bit late. So
okay, I'm gonna assume Mr. Clement Chew. You sound a little bit laggy, sir. We're gonna try and work
sorry.
on that one. No, you're right. Your cat's fighting the cord. I understand. You know, I completely understand. It's all right. We'll see how we go. You know what I got from that, Clement? Don't go near the turret. All right, that's what I got out of that 20-second conversation that seemed to be a little bit glitchy.
All right, I should be back. Do I sound better now?
Yeah, you sound amazing now. Go for it.
Thank you so much, man. I just feel like MFT they underestimated their opponents so heavily. Like, you can see the pings that they suspected Beyond Gaming was around the corner, and you still saw 665 trying to wave clear it with Spectral Maw, and he's just instantly blown up. The Divine Intervention wasn't used by Taco either, so it just felt like they were caught in a daze, and once they started losing, they also weren't really sure how to react here. So Beyond Gaming, massive runaway play right here. I'm not exactly sure that Taco can get to the point where he's strong enough to carry the team at this point. Finished his second item. I think it's a little bit late.
I mean, well, you know, the laning phase gets a little bit better, you know, Clement, with everyone being more durable. We've seen late game Kale do a lot as usual, but not as much as before. I think it's kind of important to note that, as you said, the match here as well, that's a good divine judgment from Taco. To be fair, reaction time gorgeous, but caught out again. That's the third time that Whale has been directly in front of Lucian, and they'll pay for it. Beyond Gaming are taking everything with the member removed from combat.
Oh, I just love Executioner. Lucian. It is so satisfying to watch him pop people with only one ability used. You can get the extra on-hit buff coming in from Nami as well in that sequence, so just really well done here by Wako. And MFT are going to find it hard to move out of their base at this time. I think Beyond Gaming actually has a lot of sticking power. If you look at the Lissandra and the potential invisibility Wukong engage, like, how do you even walk out at this point? I don't think they have the ability to control their jungle at this junction ever. Like, they need a major engage and someone to make a huge misplay from Beyond Gaming.
Yeah, how are they ever going to get out there, like, for the rest of this game? 7k Goldie, Dragon coming through, and yes, Meta Falcon's team still made it so that this Dragon Soul, this Mountain Soul, won't be coming through for Beyond. But we're just kind of waiting here to see how far Beyond Gaming push into the base, because for MFT, they're on death's door a little bit here. Taco is trying to get level 16. He's doing a bit of damage, Clement, but still he's a little bit off, and even then we're asking ourselves what happens when 2.5 minutes till Baron, and we'll just see what Beyond can pull off for now.
Yeah, I think Taco's still a ways off. I feel like you probably want to go for that Lich Bane and just sort of one-shot Wako later into the fight. That's definitely a possibility here. But at the same time, I feel like Beyond Gaming have a lot of different ways to kind of speed this one up and just end it early as well. Once they reset, they should be able to deny Taco from ever walking out of his tier 2 tower. I feel like that's a game plan. Like, if you can't force Taco from getting EXP, at least starve him for CS. Like, that's a perfectly valid way to kind of slow down the growth of Taco, while at the same time just suffocating the entire team from MFT as well. And we are moving into that territory where I feel like Beyond Gaming will just start Baron right
Yep.
off of the timer.
Yeah, a minute 30 till that happens. Taco unable to be starved out, even though a good ward here from Beyond Gaming, but he's getting the majority of these waves. So I think there's still like some of that hope in the back of our minds as he's a minion away from level 16. Taco will have himself that in the next wave crashing through as Beyond start clearing out vision. So Clement, all of a sudden, once again, we've slowed down quite a bit. This inner turret on the top side seems to need to go. Beyond Gaming grouping up around it, and with the wave crashing in, finally, it feels like we see the move.
Yep, again going in. Wako going low.
Yeah, but there's an army nearby. Kino can heal him up and weren't using the Spirit Rush. And that's one move down. But at the very least, Beyond sticking around, waiting for the next wave. You can see that Lukai is trying to push it in as another move from one. Minji dodges away. The Meta Falcon team still holding strong. The inner turret. This one might have to go.
Spirit Rush already down from when. He has to flash to get that E down, and looks like they're just going to give up for now. And Beyond Gaming are trying to push as far as possible before they turn around to Baron. Of course, MFT know this, and this is the turning point. You know, we've seen some crazy games where Kale is able to just get everyone in the Baron pit. I'm not counting a miracle out just yet.
Well, with the turret going down at the very least, adding pressure in the side lane for now. Objective bounty 2 for Meta Falcon team. Clement, it is going to be some much needed gold, and Taco pulls it up. That's quite a lot for himself. He'll take a camp too. And you can see up towards the top side, there is some warding starting to be placed out by MFT. So there are some positions that Taco can take with his TP that I would be a little bit worried about, Clement. This game is going a little bit too smoothly when Beyond were the ones that found such a huge lead and is still up by about 7,000.
Yeah, this is going to be the turning point. I think MFT, if I'm them, I'd probably have to venture out and try to contest this Baron some way. You can see Beyond Gaming trying to go for a cheeky pick onto Taco. Not going to happen right here. Don't get the slow down. And this is going to be super interesting because there's multiple ways that I feel like they could play it. What I would like to see Beyond Gaming do is actually keep Husha on the top of the river right here. He's able to use Cyclone and stop a lot of people. Minji can kind of do that as well. And with Kino in the pit, they actually have a lot of long-range control. So they can just go in with, they can stop people with Tidal Wave, have someone as a sacrificial lamb. So I feel like they should be willing to pull the trigger. Here we go.
Well, they do. Cyclone comes through. It's a flash in the backline for Husha. And just like that, Meta Falcon team, bit of trouble, but Taco's still alive. It's good as it's flashing away. But Lakai about to go with Meganar, and Beyond Gaming still are the ones in an advantage. Charm buys more time, but Wako has deleted 2 members. And Lakai, the third, whale down. It's only Wen and Taco left remaining. Taco, as his tail, though, still strong as the charm connects. Once again, Taco, full XP, Wen survives the Acro Prison. It's a bit mistimed. Mid laner still standing as Taco is going to start doing tail things. Beyond Gaming trying their heart out here, but as Taco hands forward, Husha now to finish it off. He dives! The dive forward, Taco denies. Meta Falcon team, yes, they can rely on their top laner.
Taco holds the fort. It was a 1v4, and he manages to snag the double at the very end right there. I think Beyond Gaming just realized that they were probably playing with their food a little bit too much. So we're going to watch this from the start right here. Very standard stuff with Sandra over the wall, but most importantly is Taco decides to keep himself alive here. He kites away, gets damage on Likai, and honestly, Beyond Gaming, they could have and they should have gone for the Baron, but they wanted more. Wako takes the tower shot. They don't focus down Taco. They have to get Taco earlier on in the fight, and just watch this sequence. Likai wants to use Husha as a springboard, and they both fall down. It was a really nice play, honestly. Like, Wukong goes invisible, and he jumps over Wukong's head. Doesn't matter, Taco still snacks them both.
And I mean, that's the concern we talked about. Like, Meta Falcon team now only 5,000 gold behind. Clement, out of the replay, they got the dragon. Meta Falcon team respawned quicker because death timers, you know, being this long in the game, they were able to move down to the dragon. They're now on Soul Point. And all of a sudden, You know, the Kale pick starts working out. There was a little bit of concerns from yourself, and I'm sure a lot of people, about how it would come together. But now that we're in it, it seems a little bit solid. And even with the Baron, I'm kind of going to ask you, how to Beyond Gaming try and end this one?
I feel like, again, this is what Beyond Gaming should have done the first time, is you just have people to play interference, and then you just rush down the Baron on the other side. So Lisandro's trying to do that, tidal wave goes down.
65 getting in, wants to steal. Husha gets it though against the wall. Good ult from Lakai. Finds Taco. He's still at full HP. Culling narrowly misses, but he runs forward with the Divine Judgment into 4 people, into Husha. This Kale, yep, it's hit the late game, and Taco knows it. A double kill here for the Mexican top laner, and Clement, MFT, they're having a fiesta.
Oh, the MFT victory condition. My head is just it's hurting so much. I did not believe in this Kale pick, and I want to say I was sorry. I am so sorry. I misread this completely. I think Beyond Gaming, there's a couple things that did go wrong for them. Number one, their Nami tidal wave whiffed completely. I don't know where Kino was aiming, but he wasn't hitting the ramp. He kind of went through the goalposts on that one, so it didn't stop anyone. And they allowed Kale to get down the river. Look at this tidal wave. What did that tidal wave do again? I don't think it did anything. So they're able to get down the ramp, get in position, and even though the Baron is taken, Taco once again 1v4s just says, "You are stuck here with me," and goes back in for the kill onto the Lucian. So I feel like this was the right play, but unfortunately, Beyond Gaming actually mis-executed the keep away part.
True. 5.5k damage. Baron picked up by Beyond, but it's a minus 3.5k power play. And MFT are still within range. 3,000 is the gold, getting less and less relevant as we go on. A 4-item Kale on that top side that's now brought the game back, that is close to Flame Horizoning, that has a GA that's just picked up. Full items. You can see Taco's so close to his screen. He's becoming Kale with each passing minute, Clement.
Oh boy, and this is getting kind of crazy. I feel like this always happens between Beyond Gaming and MFT. Beyond Gaming for sure are the more experienced team. They have the better laners, but MFT have consistently been the ones to take down Beyond Gaming. They are the Beyond Gaming kryptonite for some reason. And we're just seeing it again. Like, I feel like every Beyond Gaming MFT game is a classic because for some reason MFT is always able to claw out a team fight.
Was this the one where was it Wako that was the AP Kaiser last split, Clement? And we just saw the poke out, got to 45 minutes plus. Was that the MFT game? Because I remember there was something crazy. I remember casting it, and you're right. It's always kind of ends at this late game stage. One big play, and I remember last time it kind of flipped on its head, where Beyond looked like the favored one, and MFT suddenly just found a fight out of the blue. So here we are yet again. The Kale has been the talking point for the last 5 minutes for good reason, and Beyond Gaming are just hoping that MFT make a mistake.
Yeah, this is they need to pick off the Kale at the start. They need to burst her, get her to use Divine Intervention on herself, and then save the CC for when the Divine Intervention is there. So you want to CC her while she's in her ultimate, and once she comes out, you can kill her afterwards. So,
but then Clement, she has GA. So then what?
Then you do it again. I think that's the only answer right now.
Okay, well, good Aqua presence at the very least. Minji in a flanking angle. Maybe that turns the tides here for Beyond Gaming. Having control most game as Culling comes through. They want it back again. Husha with the engage onto the jungler. 65 is golden, and without his team, an issue is low. But as he flashes over the wall, still, Meta Falcon team won't be worse for whereas True Shot Barrage tags them all. 5 seconds till the Dragon. MFT are channeling down the mid lane, and Beyond Gaming are moving to the objective, but exposing their lane.
So we have to look at that crowd control. The most important things right here, Nami tidal wave, and of course the Mega Gnar ultimate. If you get those two long crowd control durations onto Kale, you can save the fight. If you miss those crowd controls, then it's just not going to happen. If you look at Taco, he doesn't have any sort of cleanse, and it's not being built by Leona either. So it's possible to crowd control him for a long time. but Beyond Gaming have to make the sequence actually count here. That's going to be the big test.
So maybe Mikhail's belt is something you just kind of add insult to injury for issue. Because you talked it out, the cleanse available here on Kino, on this Nami, which it seems like always going to be used on Wako, the most fed member of Beyond Gaming. But I'm curious to see what comes next here for issue as, yeah, we're just lolling about for the next minute. Baron coming up next, Clement. And by the way, if we do get to the next Dragon, which is a big possibility, 4 minutes until that, and that's solved for either of these teams.
I'm just gonna burst out laughing if somehow MFT like just beat Beyond Gaming all of their games in 2022. Like it's, I always love these matchups where one team, you know, is higher in the standings, but they always lose to that one specific team on the bottom.
Yeah,
those are the
it's
fun
like the kryptonite. Kind of like the Rogue Warriors in the LPL of the past, right?
Yeah.
There's always rare Adam who are like ready for playoffs, and then Rogue Warriors come through. But staying in this game, I mean, Minji getting spotted out. Good ward here from Issue. It's going to be control water though as Wako still heads forward. They don't care. Ulti burned out from Husha. The support is dead. MFT and numbers expanded. Minji getting low as one jumps on into that one. But here's Taco. He's knocked up.
The
Minji there. Clement the ulti as well. But as he hasn't been killed yet, I would assume that's a problem. Healing up as one head forward once more with the charm. Nobody dead apart from Issue. Beyond Gaming still with 5 as Metafalcon team are running forward into Beyond. They thought they were gone. Lakai gets a knockback and now Taco, one of the only ones standing once again. A mistake from Metafalcon team and Beyond Gaming snap them up.
And there's only a flash on Wako right here, so their burst damage is fairly limited. Taco could still make a stand here, but it's going to be one of the hardest stands in his life. 1v5 essentially.
Well, one at least adding a second number to that. Collection pile taken and onto the GA now. Taco has died once, one jumping in, and Issue has respawned. Culling coming through, Taco on his last legs. It's level 18 Kale wants to get back on in. Issue almost kills Wako as Taco will not work forward. Lakai is next on the menu as Gwen has gone down. It's a tight race here from Beyond Gaming as Lakai with the ulti back in. Taco gets CC'd and the condition is hit. It's a hard-fought game from Beyond, but it's a win nevertheless.
The Baron bait at the end for Beyond Gaming was so nicely done. They just set up layers of traps on top for MFT. I feel like MFT slightly mishandled their last engagement right there. They got caught, I think, a little bit needlessly earlier on. Like, honestly, for Kale, at that point, Taco could probably take close to a 1v3. So I felt like they should have let the play develop with Kale. Baron would not have been the end of the world, but walking out onto the base, losing members, losing the TP and the Divine Intervention so early on in the fight, just gave Beyond Gaming so many opportunities to finally finish off the Kale. And that's, to their credit, what they did. They did that beautifully. So many blinking HP bars. They're able to pull out a nail biter.
I mean, a nail biter, a back and forth, a sway, a crazy game where, you know, like Metafalcon team had no business being in it, but Beyond Gaming, it draws out, and it's kind of crazy that it ends with a Beyond Gaming win after everything we saw, Clement. Like Taco teleporting the fight in the last play, not getting in position, and more importantly, MFT walking back in like, oh okay, we have to walk back to lane. They're contesting Baron, but I don't know. Very messy, very fun are the right words to use.
I don't think that walk back was necessary whatsoever, honestly. Like, they had the Ezreal ultimate, and they likely had double blue trinkets as well at that point in the game. So it felt weird. Like, they could have just let that Kale develop a little bit more. Like, your Taco could take 1v3 at that point.
Yep.
I think that's, without question, you could probably do that very easily. So I think they just went out a little bit too early, and that gave Beyond Gaming even though it was a window, it was so hard to actually close out. That's just such an insane game to watch, and I think that's a clear indication of why Kale is the second most picked top laner on this patch.
Yeah, like, you know, like the turnaround games make it look insane. We've seen it not picked as much on 12-11, Clement, in the LPL, but, you know, still, Kale coming out at all kind of shows that the PCS has been watching other metas that these players have been kind of tuning in to the rest of the leagues. And it kind of came down to the people we talked about. I think the key players on Meta Falcon team were 665 and Taco at points in the game. Although 665 got bullied around a little bit by Husha, it is fair to say that this Viego with the counter punch around blue buff early on, what set Meta Falcon team up for the early game that then swung around anyway, but still set them up nevertheless for a minute.
Yeah. If you look at this game, you can see that I feel like MFT are still coming into the league rather rusty in terms of their early game picks. A lot of these picks they started themselves, and they just completely fumbled them. So it was a really weird early game for them. But then I think for Beyond Gaming on the flip side, they let 2 team fights get decided by Taco, and that was a big no-no. The Baron play, especially, I think. I'll be honest. I don't think Kino played a very good Nami this game around. To be completely honest, I feel like he missed a lot of critical crowd control, especially when it came to Kale. So that gave them an opening right into the pit. Able to let Taco to dominate with a 5,000 damage team fight, and it dragged the game on to the point where I think they very could have lost it. So, this is what you expect out of a day one, I think, from both of these teams.
That's very fair, because like it is only day one, right? That's the point. We're at the first day of the PCS. Meta's still being worked out by these players. Solo queue and scrims are one thing, but adjusting to what everyone else is doing in the league, I think, is always one of the hardest things. When it's a 10-team league, especially when you have double best of one, when you have double round robin, like. It's going to take a little bit of time. So, Clement, at this point, what we've seen today are very big adjustments, but also a lot of changing drafts from these 3 games. Like, each game has been pretty different so far, to say the least.
We've got such a good taster of the meta and what it really has to offer this time around. What I'm really surprised to see is a lot of teams still deciding to push the tempo. Many teams are still bloodthirsty, and that, for me, as a viewer and as a caster, is always a plus to watch here.
It is.
And I would also like to add that I think our top laners have been, just hogging the spotlight throughout all these games. Taco, for me, in Spring Split, was very obviously like one of their better players on the roster, and I can't wait to see if they kind of shift the meta up to play more towards the top side rather than go for like what their usual mid-jungle roam the map combo has done, which I'll be honest, at this point I don't think it has been MFT's strongest point relative to the other teams.
No, it hasn't. And again, like, we kind of came in, talking about how Meta Falcon team had some champion pool issues, but coming together as a team was always their strength. But at the very least, in this game, you could say the same thing, right? Like, some of their team fights were good. The way they played around Taco as well was quite innovative. But at the end, it was Beyond who pull out the win, because, let's face it, Clement, like, they were the ones set up for success, and they are the ones with experience. So naturally, when it gets that late, that one mistake is technically less likely to be caused by them.
I love Beyond Gaming because they always try to thread the needle in difficult to execute team fights. They're not a team that is ever afraid to go for those 30% chance plays when they're at a deficit. They've done that so many times against better teams like CFO and like PSG as well. So, Beyond Gaming for me is it's a team that you can never really count out, and they have so much initiation experience. Congratulations to Wako, 12-2-3. They didn't have a good start to the game early on, but his picks were so pivotal, and I really think that Wako is going to be the main piece of this Beyond Gaming team moving forward in face of the meta.
Man, Wako has had some pretty impressive performances in spring. Good for him to start off this way in summer. And I think Wako was someone who, Clement, when I was talking about PCS to some of the LPL casters, to other fans as well, Wako always comes into the conversation. I feel like Wako and Kino do have these excellent moments. While I know you're not impressed with Kino in this game, and you'd like to make fun of his age further, at the very least, Wako played some of the better Lucian that I've seen on the Premier League stage.
I think Lucian Nami is going to be a long-standing combination that you're going to see, and as we mentioned before, one of the counters to that is the Kalista. So we have to pay attention to that draft pattern. Kalista doesn't really care about the mobility from Lucian, and she can also chase him down. So that's kind of one of the one sole points that is going to be standing in Lucian's way. Otherwise, he's probably one of the best 2v2 kill combos that you can draft.
Are we going to see people abuse him or not? I mean, the biggest question is, how do they get through it? Because Lucian Nami can also fall on its head. But enough about the meta discussion. We're going to our second last game of the night. Sem9 versus Frank Esports. Their debut, of course, coming up right after.